Hi, September 2024, neighbor Al here. I had a windfall this week, yesterday in particular. 4 hours of driving, totally worth it. A Facebook marketplace seller had drums for sale. But the one thing that stood out, because I've been burned by drums, they were absolutely odor-free and antiseptic. I got in touch, and it turns out that they had previously held 20% hydrogen peroxide solution used for sanitizing dairy lines. And so now you're talking about a zero residue food grade sanitizer. And those of you who remember your chemistry, remember that hydrogen peroxide decomposes into oxygen and water. It's just pretty not there. I got there really hoping, because I was willing to walk away after 2 hours of driving, but I always travel with my bung wrenches. There you go. And I popped open each barrel and sniffed it, and there was nothing, not a thing. And I was sold. I took 5. That was what would fit in my wallet. I could have carried 9, but yeah. So what I learned as I go over these barrels is they're great. I got a very good deal, and the seller tells me he'll name names of wineries that have bought them in the past because of their neutrality, that they are just neutral characters. Somebody on the internet referred to them as blue oak, and I'm going to say, yeah, pretty much. They're the poor man's oak, and they're so much easier to take care of than oak. So obviously the bungs are on the ends, not on the top. That's a challenge, but we can deal with that. I want to show you one other thing. I'm going to switch the camera around and talk to you a little bit about the bungs. Okay, now barrels come with 2 bungs on them. You're going to get one that will have a fine pitch thread, and you'll have another that will have a coarse thread. Okay, big deal, you say. What about it? I've never seen one with a yellow bung before, and I think it might be in part because what was in here can build pressure over time. This bung is fitted with a pressure blowout disc. If too much pressure builds up in the barrel, that pops and it vents itself. That's totally cool. What's really cool about it, when you think about it, is you look in there, hey, that's got pipe thread. Hey, that's already got the start of a hole. I could probably run a drill bit through that, make it a little bigger, and use that for my airlock. And I would say, yes, you probably could. And then you wouldn't have to mess with the other bung, which is a fine bung. It's fine thread, but no pun intended. But you don't have to mess with finding the right spot to put a hole in and the like. So I've never seen these yellow caps before, but I'm glad of it. And if I want to cap it, all it's threaded, I can just thread in a plug, and then it's plugged. Not a big deal. It's little cost for that. There is fluid in these drums now. Best I can tell, he told me that some of them had product in them still. But for the most part, they try to use all the product. That's why they bought it. And then they rinse them with water, which dilutes it and helps to promote the decomposition of the hydrogen peroxide. I will drain, rinse, and drain again to get any liquid out of them. And I might even run a pH test on it just to see what we're talking about. But I am really overjoyed by these drums. I had a storage problem. I've had a record harvest. I am going to take my old drums, which we're talking about, and I'm going to cut the tops off and use them to haul fruit in. I don't have enough bins. I've pre-ordered bins for next season, but that's not going to do me any good now. So I'm going to turn these into, which I guess could be garbage cans for apples, so I can get them up to the barn. Now, I want to talk about these drums. These came from a juice company, a beverage company. And what they had in them was concentrate of product. if you smell something in them, you don't want to use it for anything but rainwater or something else, but don't use it for your cider or your wine or whatever you're into. Now, if you look at this one, on the can label, you'll see Apple GS Type 600X. Well, I did a little research, and that's a Granny Smith concentrate. So when you go to the grocery store and you buy apple juice in those containers just down the juice aisle, yeah, that's where this came from. And you don't want your cider having hints of Granny Smith. And it wouldn't be just a hint, it'd be shouting at you. The one you really want to avoid, myself and a friend have both run into it, is fruit punch. You're not going to get fruit punch out. It won't ferment out, and it will destroy your cider. It's just kick it out on the ground. I'll just say that these, while they are food grade and non-toxic, they certainly are hostile to your ciders. You don't want to use them. There's just no joy, and if you need something for rainwater, for recycling, whatever, then they're a good deal. But if you're throwing garbage into them, pay less and get one that's garbage. Just cut the top off. You could certainly reuse the bungs, but I'll point out to you that the bungs on these are different, and you can only use certain types of bung wrenches on them, and there's no precursors, no threaded hole there to put a fitting on or anything else, so they're not terribly useful bungs. Okay, that's my spiel. That's my gold mine. I'm sweeping. I'm trying to figure out how to get them into my bonded space, which means I will be taking an IBC out. That's my dog. He's over there someplace. Woof, woof. I'll be taking the IBC out to make floor space for these. Take care all. Bye-bye.